human mind fascinates. It has not always been the case, you know. I would even say 25 years ago, it was exactly the opposite. I found the human mind intricate, complex, colorful, but in a bad way. Difficult to understand. I'd rather have the beauty and the logic of mathematics, physics, biology. All those things were flowing very naturally. Can you imagine? In one of my courses, I even had an equation describing love. Isn't that beautiful? Well, practice was a bit different, admittedly. But it's just to say, I was really thinking, well, you know, all those things related to mind, social science, not for me. Luckily, 15 years later, I kind of had an epiphany. Followed my first NLP course, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And in that course, in fact, simple explanation. How does our mind work? Well, it's simple. We apprehend the world through our 5 senses. And then all comes to the brain, and our brain does basically 3 things. Generalizes, distorts, and deletes. Thanks to that, in fact, very quickly, our brain is able not to focus on all the small details, but immediately sees the bear in front of you and tells you, run, run! So the human mind is a fantastic machine. But of course, this way of working also introduces some distortions, some problems, some biases. And there are more or less 30 biases documented in the literature, and I'd like to pick one of them, the so-called survivorship bias. And I don't have the picture today, but you can easily imagine, it's a story of the Second World War. Around the last year of the Second World War, on a daily basis, you had pilots leaving England, leaving the UK, and going to bomb the industrial cities in Germany. When those airplanes came back to base, well, you had all the mechanics, they were looking at the airplanes and saying, oh, do you see? There, and there is an impact. And after a while, they start to identify patterns. They say, oh, do you see? Always at the end of the wings, at the end of the plane, that's where the airplanes come back with impacts on. Let's have a great idea. We reinforce the aircrafts on those parts. Luckily, there was also a statistician in those mechanisms. He said, no, guys. We're not going to reinforce the airplane there. We're exactly going to reinforce the other parts where you don't see the impact. Does that seem logic to you? He said, guys, what you're doing is drawing conclusion based on the airplanes, on the planes coming back to base. What you forget is all those airplanes who don't make it back to the base. And where do you think those have been hit? Exactly there, where you don't see the impacts on the other. So these are the lethal places. The story goes further, saying that they reinforced the places which were not hit, and indeed, survivability of the airplanes increased over time. Now you would say, well, that's nice, but that doesn't apply in everyday life. To the contrary. Other example, marketing. A company absolutely wants to extend its customer base. Now, how are we going to do that? Let's send an email to all our customers asking them which new service they would like to have. What do you think happens? Only those most true and the most motivated customers of your existing customers send you an answer. Do you think that this will really help you increasing your customer database? No, you're making the same mistake. You're forgetting the samples of the population you want to address. Third example, buildings. I like this one. Imagine yourself walking in New York. You're passing Grand Central Station. Fantastic building, isn't it? And that's where you think, guys, at that time at least, people were able to build fantastic buildings which can withstand time. What are you forgetting? That the whole area around Grand Central Station was also built with buildings. Are they still there? No. They were also built 150 years ago at the same time with the same architects, but they all disappeared. So basically what you're doing is you're drawing conclusion based on one outlier. This building which survived. I find the human mind truly fantastic. It is able to take zillions of information and very quickly draw some conclusions. And that's a fantastic property that we have as human beings. I like this. But in this process, we are also prone to error, which is called biases. So we need to keep that in mind. That's why my call for action for you this evening would be, next time that you need to draw a conclusion, or that you need to take a decision, of course, look at what you see, draw conclusions based on what you see. But keep in mind that the important part might be exactly in what you don't see. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and good evening.